It's Debbie Potts, and I'm back again to talk about how you can test and not guess how you should best fuel, train, and perform to optimize your performance, metabolic health, and hopefully a goal of yours, longevity, your aging process. So let's dive into a comprehensive blood chemistry analysis. What do we do? What do we look at? And how we correlate the information together?
Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey, are you an aging athlete? Are you over 40 and struggling to get your desired results? I understand your frustrations. If you're like me, you're trying to get your running back or your cycling back or whatever sport you love to do, and you just can't figure out what's missing in your performance gains. How is your training and fueling program working for you? That's what I do. I personalize your nutrition and health program for you based on a bunch of different things. We collect data, collect clues from nutritional therapy assessment, from a food log with symptoms. Look at your genetics. If you've done something as DNA fit, look at blood chemistry panels. Let's look at functional lab tests as a Vibrant Wellness wheat zoomer to test if you have leaky gut and sensitivity to wheat, peptides in foods. Look at food sensitivity labs. And Dutch tests, look at your hormones. So we look at all these hidden internal sources of chronic stress that may be impacting your ability to burn fat, improve performance, and longevity. So if you want to talk about how we can personalize your fueling, training, and performance plan, let me know. Set up a discovery call. Head to my website, debbiepotts.net, and reach out. Set up a call and we can chat about how I can help you be the best version of yourself. So you can stop blaming the aging process and instead change your mindset that you're embracing the change, that we train differently in our 40s and up versus what you did when you're 20, 30-year-old. We need to adjust how we eat, when we eat, why and how, but also match our nutrition with our exercise program and add some more health building lifestyle habits into our day. I call this all the holistic method comprehensive coaching program, where I work on individualizing clients' nutrition, exercise, stress reduction, sleep, movement, time outside, digestion and gut health, hydration, and my favorite, happiness, play, and laughter. So if you want to know more how you can be your best self, live your best life, and perform your best, head to debbiepotts.net, schedule a discovery call with me, and we can get started on your new health building journey. You can be that amazing athlete and stop blaming the aging process. Hey there, it's Debbie. A functional comprehensive blood chemistry assessment. That's a mouthful. If we are looking at blood chemistry tests and doing analysis, what does a functional health practitioner do differently than your doctor that you may see once a year? Well, one, your normal ranges on our lab tests we get from our doctor are much different than the functional ranges that are optimal. So if you want to be normal, the ranges we get from our doctor are based on the normal, unhealthy, sick person, not ideal. And functional ranges are much more narrower range. And that is based on optimal. So if you just want to be normal, or do you want to be optimal? I know myself and most of you that I've spoken with over the years are high performers. Type A, AAA, driven, ambitious individuals who are looking for different tricks to improve their body composition, to improve health, performance, and longevity. So if we are looking at longevity, we want to look at metabolic health. So we'll talk about that. and looking at a blood chemistry assessment, which you can't always get from your doctor because they're not always testing everything. In insurance, I just got charged a big, huge fee for my LabCorp. Wouldn't get everything covered from insurance. So we want to test and not guess, but really look at using Ulta Labs or own your own labs to get the full picture. And then work with a practitioner as myself that can help look at the clues we can get with a comprehensive blood chemistry assessment that I'll review today with my own results. When something is higher than we want, than optimal functional ranges, what is that a clue towards? If it is lower than our functional optimal ranges, what is that a clue towards? So I get very frustrated when I see a doctor and get lab results and it's a waste of time. They don't do anything. But I want to get what I can out of my insurance because we pay a lot of money. And we need insurance because we crash or have something horrible to happen to us. We need to have some insurance. But the blood chemistry test that the doctor runs is very limited. And the way they look at it is really not benefiting my performance, longevity, metabolic health markers because everything is normal when they look at it and not seeing what I see, what that is showing. What clues do we gather? So I wanted to share what I'm doing with my labs and how I look at it for clients when I put this all together. So it's more of a personalized and a holistic approach of understanding someone's health, emphasizing collecting those clues, identifying underlying causes of health issues, root causes, not just addressing the symptoms. This approach allows for more tailored and preventative approach to healthcare, helping individuals be more aware and make more informed decisions about our nutrition, exercise, lifestyle, and potential interventions to optimize health and our wellness, our longevity, our well-being. It's more of that word I keep using lately, integrative approach, integrative and functional medicine practices to address chronic health issues. But we want to I don't want a chronic health issue. We want to do something before we are sick. So it's freaking ridiculous we don't get insulin covered by the doctor because that gives us clues for years before we might have signs of type 2 diabetes. And looking at our genetics, that I'm more prone to type 2 diabetes, but I need to see what my insulin is, not just wait until I'm type 2 diabetic and have high glucose. It's a little late. We could have prevented that. So we want to get this comprehensive test, analyze it differently to address the signs and symptoms and red flags that you may be heading towards chronic health issues. What we want to do, be preventative and not wait until we are sick. That is why I say take ownership of your health now, make the investment in your health bank account, and not wait until you are already damaged. So I don't know why we all wait until we are injured to go get ART or chiropractor. We need to just do monthly maintenance, as we should with our blood chemistry, doing GI tests, as I spoke about last episode, and doing our metabolite tests as a Dutch and organic acids, some pick ones that are needed for you based on your signs and symptoms. But don't do it once a year. Ideally, we need to do this twice a year. Your blood work, we should do quarterly. And it doesn't cost a lot. Ulta Labs, you can spend $200-$300. But the information you get from there is going to look differently when I look at it through my lens. Okay, let's use myself as an example. Let me bring up my slides. And if you want me to do a video on this, let me know, and I will record a new video sharing this process. So when we are taking our FDN practitioner course, we learn about functional lab tests and investigating, correlating, doing lab result assessment, putting it with a DRESS protocol, which is diet, rest, exercise, stress management, and supplement protocol. reassess, course correct. Now, our advanced course we take is advanced blood chemistry panel. We look at this, as I said, in optimal ranges. So I can send you this sheet if you want as advanced biomarkers. Now, it's going to be different from your doctor's numbers. And then a full thyroid panel, we want to look at the patterns and what type of thyroid dysfunction, because it's not just low thyroid, let's take some thyroid medication. There's different things that might be going on. Conversion, liver congestion might not convert T4 to T3. And then we can look at gut health. We might look at some autoimmunity issues, the impact of chronic stress on our thyroid. We also look at elevated body burden, which is excess toxins or impaired detox that puts extreme stress on the liver. And the liver plays a big role in the conversion of thyroid hormones. A sluggish liver can be a root cause of a thyroid disorder. It can also be a low thyroid can be related to gut dysfunction. A healthy gut flora is necessary for adequate conversion of thyroid hormones. So any parasite, pathogenic bacteria, yeast, fungus overgrowth, increase in gut permeability, leaky gut, and inflammation can lower levels of thyroid hormone. And of course, gluten is a common trigger for thyroid autoimmunity, regardless of whether you are sensitive to gluten. Gluten sensitivity, however, is more common than we might realize, and it goes undetected as myself unless specific gluten sensitivity tests are performed, as my wheat Zoomer from Vibrant Wellness that I did. So I'm non-celiac, gluten sensitive, or I just say wheat, anything with wheat. So thyroid panel, we'll talk about, you can get TSH, free T4, free T3, reverse T3, thyroglobulin, thyroid binding globulin, TPO antibodies, TGAB or TGB antibodies, and TSI antibodies. So we want to see all that. And then you need to work with an FDN practitioner that can correlate your thyroid panel with your signs and symptoms. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner, so I'll use those intake forms to assess. Also look at your food and mood log. Look at, are you having reaction of to what you're eating as gluten, soy, corn, refined sugar, alcohol. Those can all increase inflammation and cause blood sugar problems, promote leaky gut. So we want to look at eliminating non-gluten grains and legumes as they promote blood sugar dysregulation and leaky gut. Most non-gluten grains can cross-react with gluten. So if you have a gluten sensitivity and you're not eating gluten, well, you might want to look at these other foods. Also, nightshades, dairy, eggs. A lot of people eating eggs every day, and they can be a problem. So that's why I try to rotate them. And nuts and seeds can be irritant. So a lot of people do no dairy. I have a problem doing no heavy cream on my coffee, but having this cross-reactivity with foods that might impact gluten. You're not eating gluten, but having these other foods. So eggs, nightshades, nuts, and seeds are common triggers for autoimmunity. You want to look at nutrient density, as we've talked about in the past, more of an animal-based diet and focusing on getting that protein and natural fats in your animal proteins. Getting enough iodine and selenium is important. Getting organ meats. I take the capsules because I can't do liver. I'm not going to eat organ meat, but I'll take a capsule. So those contain the essential nutrients for thyroid health. Getting some other foods, you have to be careful. That's why we want to test. So focus today is on blood chemistry panel, but this is talking about the full thyroid panel in your blood chemistry is the key one I want you to get. So looking at what foods might be irritant for you is why we talked in the previous episode about getting food sensitivity test in our functional lab test assessment, doing 2, 3, 5 labs for some people to really see all of what might be going on under the hood. And then, of course, all this, we always want to manage our stress. We want to have daily practice of stress management. We want to optimize our sleep, want to get rid of external stressors in our environment, household chemicals, personal care products, non-toxic gluten-free varieties of household items, and then stop using all the, products, the makeups, fingernail polish, perfumes, all of those toxins in our environment, our plasticware, all this stuff, nonstick pans. We want to use cast iron, and all of that, as well as negative thoughts and feelings, can also be external stress. So we've got chemical, mental, emotional stressors that can impact our thyroid. So that was just a touch on thyroid health. And so that's our big panel we want to get at our thyroid panel. And we want to look at thyroid patterns. If it's primary hypothyroidism, that might be a high TSH, but low total T4, low total T3, low, what's the other one? Low full T3 and T4. So we want to look at free, not what I'm saying full, low free T4, low full. I keep saying full, free T3. So we have different patterns. I'm not going to go through them all, but there's primary hypothyroidism and then secondary hypothyroidism. We've got hypothalamus issues. We've got hyperthyroidism, of course. We've got thyroid underconversion. We've got thyroid overconversion and decreased thyroid binding globulin. And then we've got TBG, thyroid binding globulin elevation, thyroid resistance, and subclinical hypothyroidism. So there's so many different kinds. And so when you just take a thyroid pill because of your TSH level, I'm finding a lot of clients are on thyroid medication, but it's not bringing the thyroid to optimal levels because you're not dealing with why is their thyroid low, because it could be simple thing as repairing your liver detox pathways. Do a little liver detox program as Quicksilver catch and push kit. So we want to look at your thyroid. So that's one thing. So let's look at that. We want to look at underlying causes of dysfunction and imbalances by looking at the root cause. So when we're doing this functional blood chemistry analysis, we want the comprehensive metabolic panel that your doctor normally will do, the full lipid panel, a complete blood count, CBC, and then we want the iron panel with iron serum, total iron binding capacity, ferritin. We want, as I just spoke about, the full thyroid panel, which most doctors are not testing at all and won't do. And additional markers. We look at vitamin D, insulin, A1C, homocysteine, histamine, CRP, for sure you want that, PSA for men, fibrinogen, anion gap, and magnesium and B12. Then, of course, we've got the hormones, but ideally we get blood and urine testing hormones, and that's what the Dutch test can help us with. So we have this functional blood chemistry analysis that we do as FDN practitioners. So instead of just your annual checkup, get your results, your doctor says you're normal, we're going to take that and put it into our spreadsheet. What we'll do, conventional medicine doesn't do, is look at optimal ranges. We identify changes in your physiology. We try to catch dysfunction early so it can be corrected. So we want to be looking ahead. We want to correct and course correct, reset, reboot, make those adjustments before we are sick. Conventional medicine uses these huge reference ranges. They seek to identify disease, and the pharmaceutical medications are usually prescribed to treat the abnormal markers as statin drugs for high cholesterol, as I talked about in the previous episode. We are going to look at nutrition, lifestyle, and natural supplements to fill in the gaps, to bring your body to homeostasis, to balance and not have imbalance, to function optimally, not have dysfunction, dis-ease. You want to be at ease. We want to restore function to the body. So we need to test at least blood chemistry. It is affordable and you can get it by insurance at least once a year. And then you might need to go to own your own labs. As listen to Dave Feldman's previous episode out the other week and learn about that program. But we want to check, are we in optimal range? We don't want to be normal. We want to be optimal. So normal doesn't reflect what is healthy. It reflects what is common. It's missing the opportunity, as we learned from our FDN course, to address dysfunction before it turns into a disease. So we talk about this snowball effect. It's a process that starts from initial stage of a small significant amount, builds upon itself, becomes larger, more serious, and potentially dangerous. That's what snowball effect is. So a blood chemistry assessment with an FDN practitioner is so essential. And that's why I started doing just a basic program called my assessment package that includes, ideally, the metabolic testing in town, but doing your blood chemistry assessment, nutritional therapy assessment, and collecting the clues to give you 2 coaching calls to go over the results and recommendations. But you need to do this. It drives me nuts. People are not getting the right information from their doctor. So we have to take our health in our own hands and help improve our aging process by doing this assessment. Just because you exercise and you do Ironmans or marathons or cycling events, big long hikes, you need to make sure you're fit and healthy from the inside out. That means under the hood. What's going on? Are we in balance? How is everything working together? Because if our body is similar to that analogy of an orchestra, if one thing's off, one player is off, or strings broken, everything is going to be impacted. Domino effect. So blood chemistry is an affordable way for you to help get some insight into what's going on under the hood if we take the results, interpret them using our functional ranges, not the lab ranges, not your doctor's ranges, but functional, because normal doesn't mean healthy, right? So we want functional optimal levels. We want to know if your results are higher or lower than that, what is that a clue towards? Again, we see patterns. We investigate. So you want to look at your blood chemistry panel through a different lens. We're looking for red flags. Where are we seeing patterns pointing towards dysfunction? Clues that we need to investigate a little bit more. So if we have, from a functional perspective, if the markers are higher or lower than optimal, we're going to see something going on. So 6 non-optimal markers suggested. In our course, we learn nutritional deficiencies as vitamin B6, B12, folate, vitamin C, and iron can be told or seen patterns on your blood chemistry analysis. Digestive inflammation, chronic infection, intestinal parasites, liver dysfunction, and even food and environmental sensitivities. So we want to look at what's going on through a different lens. Okay, so we want to just review the purpose of a functional blood chemistry analysis. So we learn in our FDN course what to look for. Is there dysfunction in this client? Where are we seeing the dysfunction? What are the sources or the causes of dysfunction? What individualized treatments are needed for this client? When has function been restored? So we have questions. We're investigating. We're going, what's going on here? And going down many rabbit holes. So blood chemistry testing can help us identify and also confirm patterns or those trends we're seeing from other findings, which is why I strongly suggest of not just doing blood chemistry. That's a good for initial assessment, but a lot of times we need to go a little deeper. And again, invest in our health, get that health savings account going on, and being able to do a GI test, a hormone panel, metabolites. But for sure, a gut test with your blood chemistry. I'd always start there. If we can afford another test, a Dutch test. So say they're like $300, $400 each. So they do add up. So it depends on your budget. So that's why I always tell people, start a little savings account, put that money aside, stop eating out. Save money for your health. And then eating real food at home will be even better without those vegetable oils. So the benefits of the blood chemistry test and assessment I do is very inexpensive compared to the other stuff. It's easy. You can just go to LabCorp. You can order your test on Own Your Own Labs, Ulta Labs, and just go get your blood drawn at LabCorp, and the results come back in a few days. And then I do my work. Now, this just helps us guide us to what other tests you might need. So the micronutrient test or pathogen testing, checking out your adrenals with the Dutch test or saliva test, and really helps us figure out correlating that data with the functional lab testing and help us create a personalized program for you. So we want to look at getting blood chemistry and then looking at the breakdown. Now, as I said, a lot of doctors will do your comprehensive metabolic panel, lipid panel, and CBC, but they're not always doing an iron panel and a thyroid panel. And majority of the time, they're not even measuring your vitamin D, and it's super hard to get them to do your insulin, which costs $11 to do it yourself. A1C, it's a kind of snapshot 90 days, but more so 30 days of your glucose. And that might be different for athletes, might not use that as much, but I like the insulin for sure. So we want to get all this. Now, we get the panel. Then I look at what this all might mean. Okay. So I put it in the spreadsheet, and then we're going to use software, or I do it myself by hand. I go through our FDN course notes when this is higher, possible reasons this marker might be higher. Then look at if it's lower. What are the possible reasons this marker is lower? We look at the functional range. Where do we want to be? And then we see blood chemistry panels. So other blood chemistry markers we look at to see if there's patterns. Metabolic syndrome, reactive hypoglycemia, pre-diabetes, diabetes. And then we have clues to which functional tests we could correlate this information with. This marker and tests. So adrenals, micronutrients, metabolites. And then we want to look at other considerations are going to look at your nutrition. What's your lifestyle habits? What's your exercise program? So there's so much more to dive into in a blood chemistry panel that your doctor's giving you and saying, you're normal. Here, see you next year. Doesn't do jack. And I just did this with the doctor, and I actually went back and educated her. Here's my report. This is how I see my lab results, what functional medicine does and traditional medicine doesn't. But I must say, I also saw a naturopath last year, and she didn't do any of this. She just gave me results and looked at my hormones and didn't have any of this investigation work on it. So you got to find a practitioner to work with that does this. Okay, so then we want to, I think it's important to look at this, see clues. Do we have signs of pathogens, dysbiosis, what's going on? And then we can, again, investigate more with those functional labs. Okay, so let's pull over to my test results. So this is why you might want me to do a video because you can't see what I'm talking about. All right, so here I put everything in, and then I highlight what's my higher or lower. Now my glucose, 92, and they want it, functional range, we want 75 to 86. So I'm a little bit higher. Is that because I work out in the morning? My blood sugars may be higher, who knows? But clues to higher than our optimal glucose could be insulin resistance, diabetes, metabolic syndrome. It could be vitamin B1 deficiency, fatty liver, liver congestion, cortisol, adrenal issues. So I put that over in the far end of the chart. I make a Excel spreadsheet, clues. This is higher than we want. What does that sign of? Is it really a big difference? Because it's not hugely high, but it's higher than optimal. 92 is not really that high. Doctor wouldn't even look at this unless it's like 120. Okay. And then what else was low? Oh, my next marker that was low or out of range, creatinine is low. We want it 0.8 to 1.1. Last year, 0.76. This past September, I was 0.61. What does that clue towards? Muscular atrophy, lack of physical activity, inadequate dietary protein, or impaired digestion. I'm eating protein. I'm lifting weights. What would that be going on? Why is that low? Take note. Is there H. pylori? Do I need digestive enzymes? I'm eating protein, but I'm not breaking it down. So big clue there for me. All right. What else was higher or lower? Potassium, 5.4. I want 4.0 to 4.5. This is blood serum, right? But it can be a clue to adrenal hypofunction, low adrenal function, dehydration. Did I work out the day before? So it's really looking at tracking everything before you do blood tests so you can know, okay, oh, I just did that hard workout, or I was really dehydrated, it's hot outside, or I just did the sauna the night before and did this in the morning. So we have to look at tracking everything and seeing patterns in your nutrition, exercise, lifestyle habits when you're doing your lab tests. Okay, here's another good one for you. Protein. So remember, creatinine was low. My total protein is low. 6.9 last year, this year 6.2. Optimal functional range is 6.9 to 7.4. So it was just a little bit lower. Ideal 6.9 and higher, but it's 6.2. But we're looking for patterns. Hypochlorhydria, so low HCl, digestive dysfunction or inflammation, malnutrition, malabsorption, so digestive enzyme issue, leaky gut, protein deficiency, low protein intake. I'm focused on my protein, so that's not it. I'm not breaking down. So the next thing it says poor protein breakdown, amino acid needs, liver dysfunction. All right, let's keep that side note. So we've got two things that kind of pair together. Globulin was really low, 1.8, but I want it 2.4 to 2.8. What does that mean? Well, that's clue towards digest dysfunction. Here we go. Pattern. Inflammation, immune insufficiency. All right. So I'm starting to wonder what's going on with this client. And then we've got AG ratio is high, 2.4. I want it 1.52, so it's a little bit higher. This can be the ratio, few factors of globulin. And that lower globulin can be immunodeficiency. We could look at more markers to look at that, but alkaline phosphatase is pretty low. Last year, 54. This year, 59. Optimal, 70 to 100. So then, guess what the clue is? Zinc deficiency when you're low alkaline phosphatase. Now, if we look back, digestive dysfunction, poor protein breakdown. We know the client, Debbie, is eating protein. So it's not that I have a low protein intake, so cross that off. I'm not malnutritious or malnourished would be the word. Malabsorption. I'm eating good food. I'm getting my protein, but there's some red flags. I'm not breaking it down. So if you're not getting your protein, you're not getting your amino acids, you're not getting your zinc, you're not getting your B12, you're not getting your iron. So take note. Zinc deficiency. All right, here's another one. AST. Now, these are ALT, AST, or some liver markers, tiny bit higher. Mine, you want 10 to 20, mine was 21. And the ALT, mine was 26, you want it 10 to 25. So not hugely off, but I've been working on my liver detox pathways. So that would be a sign of liver dysfunction, excess muscle breakdown, turnover, infections, vitamin E, celiac, Crohn's, colitis, stuff like that. But then high ALT can be dysfunction located in the liver as well, fatty liver, liver cell damage, psoriasis, alcoholism, bile issues, excessive muscle breakdown and turnover. So if you're doing high workouts. So again, tracking before you take this test to know what's going on. Certain medications, antibiotics, statin drugs. So we want to look at GGT. I didn't have that on here, but that's another good liver one. Okay, here you go. Lipid panel. Now I said this in my previous podcast episode talking about labs. Cholesterol. I was 237 last year. This year, 216. Functional range, 170 to 200. So I'm a lot higher. Should I worry? Not really. I'm looking at the clues. And I said this on the other show, so go back and listen to last week's show. Hypothyroidism is related to high cholesterol, chronic bacterial bacterial and viral infections. H. pylori is especially related to high cholesterol. Adrenal dysfunction, atherosclerosis, of course, cardiovascular disease, but insulin resistance can be an issue, bile liver issues, poor metabolism, and utilization of fats. So gives us clues something's going on under the hood. So remember, cholesterol, hypothyroidism. So we need to look at the thyroid panel. We need to look at a gut test and a Dutch test to see the adrenal function, and an organic acids test to look at our liver detox pathways, signs of any liver bile dysfunction. We want to see, is there signs of metabolism issues? We're not digesting our fat, so we can do that in the GI test and more. Another good one for you, triglycerides. I was 64 last year, but it's down to 48. Is lower better triglycerides? We say triglycerides is an inflammatory marker and a good clue to metabolic health. But what if it's low? Is that good or not? No, we want it between 70 and 80. It's that Goldilocks effect. Not too high, not too low, the right amount. But get this, liver bile dysfunction, hyperthyroidism, or excess thyroid medication. Autoimmune disorders, adrenal hyperfunction. My cortisol is far from being high. That was a long time ago. Now I'm super low. So that's not it. But autoimmune. Remember, I had the wheat zoomer. Does my full thyroid panel have antibodies on it? So we need to, again, clues. We're starting to think, HDL cholesterol. I've been told by doctors, oh, your HDL is too high. Well, HDL higher, mine was 113 this year, last year 107. We want it between 55 and 85. I'm a lot higher. Was that a clue towards? When I first started doing this functional medicine testing 10 years ago, I should find my results. My HDL has always been super high. Guess what that's related to? Autoimmune disorder. So is part of my challenge root cause an autoimmune disease? Is it Hashimoto's? What is it? So we need to investigate. And there's more. LDL cholesterol should be 80 to 100. Mine was 120 last year. Now it's 94. That's a big difference. What's going on? So that's kind of what I do when I'm looking at this test. Now, if I scroll down here, other things on your complete blood count, your CBC, are good nutrient markers. Your MCV, if that is out of range, so 82 to 89.9, so 82 to 90, that is functional range optimal. But if it's high, mine was 93, 91 this year, so it's a little bit higher. That's a clue to not B12 and folate deficiency and vitamin C deficiency, anemia. Folate deficiency and anemia. Neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, and eosinophils, basophils. Super essential for our lab investigation. My monocytes are still high. There were 8 last year. They're higher this year. They're 9. They want them to be 0 to 7% max. What does that mean? It's a recovery phase of an infection is one clue. Liver dysfunction, intestinal parasites, tissue inflammation, gut inflammation, or we might have some benign prostatic hypertrophy, BPH, but not for me. And the eosinophils, 0 to 3%. I was at a 6 last year, 7 this year, super high. What the heck? Intestinal parasites. I've done a lot of anti-parasite protocols, but I'm trying to do more around the full moon. They're obviously still there, but we're just guessing unless I do another GI test. Also, high eosinophils, food and environmental allergies, and sensitivities. Remember, I scored off the chart on my wheat zoomer, so I can't do any wheat, but it's easy to get wheat in foods when you're eating out, for sure. sauces, stuff like that. It's wheats and everything. So that's a clue. Food sensitivity. A clue that we should probably do another food sensitivity test. Vibrant Wellness is one of my favorites. Asthma, another thing. So iron panel, looking at your iron serum, your TIBC, iron saturation, and ferritin. Those are all good information. So ferritin, you want 50 to 100. Now iron saturation is really interesting. And that was higher for me. I was 46 last year. We want 25 to 35%. This year I'm closer, I'm 39. But just to bring this up, and I'll stop talking. High iron saturation is also another clue for H. pylori. And hypochlorhydria, high or low HCl. So we look at patterns. For example, hypochlorhydria could be a pattern if we see low chloride, high CO2, high BUN, high globulin, low total protein, low albumin, low serum phosphorus, low calcium, low iron, low alkaline phosphate, which I had. So we know we've got signs of hypochlorhydria or H. pylori, because that can be same markers as above, but also white blood cell count, if that's higher, on monocytes. And my monocytes are high. So do we have H. pylori still elevated? I did treatment before, but still got back up there. So I could do a protocol or invest in my health and investigate by running a new GI test. So that's what we want to look at. Full thyroid panel, the iron panel. Do I have iodine deficiency? That could be with the free T4 being low and high free T3. We look at selenium and look at other markers of Hashimoto's. But then we also want to look at inflammation, CRP. We want to look at your vitamin D. I was 52. You want it between 60 and 80 in our FDN ranges. A1C, we want 4.5 to 5.5. Homocysteine, 6.0 to 7.2. And I was super high last year. I was at 11. CRP for men, under 0.55. For women, under 1.5. So you want to get this information as insulin should be 1 to 5. You don't want below 1, 0 could be type 1 diabetic. But higher than 5 or even higher than 10 would be progressing towards insulin resistance. Higher than that, looking at diabetes, type 2. So that's what I do, and what we do as functional health practitioners trained in FDN advanced courses to look at putting the missing pieces of your health puzzle together. So looking at labs and Alta Labs or Own Your Own Labs, we'll put the link in the show notes, but getting that full thyroid panel, you can look up on Alta Labs, they even have a Hashimoto's workup panel that has 13 tests with 20 or 79 biomarkers. Hashimoto's is an autoimmune disease and a thyroid disorder, so you have to evaluate many things, not just the thyroid. So the thyroid panel is on there, but also blood sugar and cholesterol analysis, your iron levels, your vitamin D, B12, B6, your red and white blood cell count, your adrenals, your electrolytes, auto antibodies. So there's a lot to look at. And then I like to look at the DNA company. What's going on? Insulin resistance. Do you have any genetics? And remember, we want to look at epigenetics, your lifestyle. So I have some of the versions with increased risk of insulin resistance on my tests or a genetic test. So I need to look at those things. So that's just what I wanted to share. I think it's so important for us to be preventative, not wait until we're struggling. And as an athlete, I think we get a little naive thinking we are so much healthier than we are because you're training, but actually you're causing a lot of stress, oxidative stress, a lot of inflammation in your body, gut issues, especially it shows leaky gut. Can it be from training in hotter weather, long distance training? You're probably done all summer, hot weather, high stress. We got to look at all the markers. So getting some tests ordered on Rupa Health, getting your blood chemistry panel, looking at Ulta Labs, I think is really responsible of you as an athlete to care about how you will be showing up to life when you are older. So training your future self now so you can live your best, feel your best, move your best as you age and be your best self. So if you want to figure out how to be the best version of yourself, we might need to investigate, or you can just guess and save money, but at least do your blood chemistry panel. You can get what you can from your doctor under insurance. If not, a few $100s. Here's the Ulta Lab page. There always is 20% pop-up up there. You head to their page. There's a lipid panel, $14.95. Complete blood count, CBC, $14.95. And then you scroll down to their baseline panels. You'll see baseline biomarker comprehensive is $389 plus the 20% off that always pops up in the screen. There's advanced biomarker. There's below that popular panels, getting like your B12, your folate, getting your hormones, testosterone. If you're thinking your menopausal time frame, you can look at your FSH and LH. So everything's on there. You can look at all these panels. Pretty cool, simple. But that's what I would investigate. What are you doing now to improve your health, your wellness, your well-being, so you're thriving every day? Just because you can go ride 50, 100 miles and you can go run after, or just because you did a race this year and you're able to train well, doesn't mean you're not causing damage from the inside out. Because of our endurance training. Less is more, and we want to look at how to adjust our training and our fueling for our age, changing of our hormones for the female athlete, and just for the longer we've been doing endurance work. Less is more, getting more quality workouts than quantity, not needing to do all the long, slow distance stuff in hours and hours of cardio endurance training every day, but doing more strength training, lifting heavy weights, functional movement pattern training, and some rest easy days, and then some hard days. But don't just make stuff up. We need to get things organized, prioritize what you need to do first. So hopefully you have a coach you can work with or ask me for help, but at least get some labs done and analysis done. So I will be here if you need me. Head to debbiepotts.net. I'll put some links in the show notes, and hopefully this information will help you help yourself to be your best each day and be happier version of yourself as we have some stress by training and trying to fit everything in every day. But just try to unplug, disconnect a little bit more, take some active recovery days, just be outside and enjoy some quiet time by yourself and figure out, am I doing everything I want to do? Am I the person I want to be? Am I being my best self? How can I make adjustments and be even better than where I am today? So head to debbiepotts.net. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a great day. Hey, my fellow aging endurance athletes, just a reminder, if you like what you listened to today, make sure to share this episode with your community. Head to debbiepotts.net to set up a free discovery call to learn more about my personalized coaching programs, especially if you are on a mission as myself to improve the aging process and start training to be my best self when I am 80, 90 years old. So I am on a mission to live my best life and be my best self the second half of my life. So if you're on the same mission as me, head over to my website and YouTube channel to learn more ways to improve the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.